What's good, everybody? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Junk. Today, guys, I've been getting a lot of emails about the situation with Bronny James and Peyton Gelfuso. Now, she is a young lady who also attends the school that he goes to called Sierra Canyons High School. And for those of you who don't know what kind of school this is, it is a very elite private school. Tuition is upwards of $60,000 per year. So that was higher than even my medical school tuition and even higher than certain medical school tuitions in the United States already. And he's taken this young lady to the junior prom. And many people are up in arms about it because she's very white, seems to be like a pretty young lady. And many people are not only upset with the young man, but upset at his father, LeBron James Sr. And the theoretical question that has been posed by those in the black community, or some of those who are concerned about it, is why is he with this young white lady and not with a black woman? And I want to talk about this because there are several moving parts in this dialogue. The first being that Mr. Bronny James he doesn't have the same experience as many of us. Many of us grew up in urban black America, okay? And so when I grew up, my father was a young man. My mother was, at the time, 31. They were relatively working class or poor. And, they were trying to do the best they can for me at the time. And I grew up in the black church, and I grew up in a similar experience to maybe they would have had in the 50s or 60s. So although my life was a little bit better in comparisons to theirs, for the relationship that I had to my parents' time in their generation, it was not so far off. The black experience would have been similarly the same, okay? Parents could still whoop you at that time. You went to church for long periods of time, almost, every day of the week. If you came from the black church, went to a black barbershop, you ate the same foods, you talked the same as people in your community, you dated within your community. That was LeBron James' experience. His experience is probably very similar to his parents. However, Bronny James, upon being born in 2004 or 2005, his father was already a world superstar. He didn't grow up poor like LeBron did. He didn't grow up in Akron, Ohio like LeBron did. He grew up with the silver spoon in his mouth. It's not his fault. And he grew up going to the best of schools, playing with the best of the sports coaches, the best of teams. And now he's living in California. He's not around the same sort of black people that we were around. Now I know what you're thinking. Well, there's really a lot of educated, nice looking young black ladies that he can be with. You won't get any argument from me about that. Sure, there are attractive young black women around his age that he could deal with. But I believe the problem that some of y'all are going to have is that Bronny James has made his preference very clear last year that he doesn't really like black women that much or dark women. That's not his personal preference. At least that can be inferred by his TikTok videos. But not only that, even if she were in his preference, how many of these young ladies that are young black women going to schools like Sierra Canyon? I would argue not very many. Okay. And I want to talk about this because the Developing Dad podcast, and I did a show last year. He's a software engineer, and he's saying in his city, which is in New Orleans, the schools that his son goes to, they don't see a lot of black young ladies at that school because there are not a lot of black parents who are, in the upper middle class that are still married and they have eligible daughters. A lot of the younger eligible women that are coming out of the black community, let's say in nearby neighborhoods, Inglewood, Baldwin Hills, some of these ladies might be parents of successful single moms, or the ones that are very attractive single moms at large. I'm sorry, but Bronny James is not going to love black people so much that he's gonna come down and date a chick, from Inglewood just to make everybody feel better. He's not gonna do that. He is an elite, all right? So he's gonna date women that are in his circle that he feels that he's attracted to. And that's what you're seeing right now in Black America. You're seeing somebody like his father who is still dedicated to our people. And then you're seeing somebody like the son who's like, well, listen, Dad, I know you feel that way. And I do understand that I'm black, but me dating and mating those black women, for me, that's not what I want to do. I want to deal with the ladies that live out here. And I would say it's the same thing for some of you brothers that are from, like Nigeria, some of you brothers who are from other places. If you come from Africa to America or from the Caribbean to America, you may really, really love your community, your culture. But now once your son or daughter grows up here, they're not going to have that same experience you had in Ghana when you were coming up, or Sierra Leone. They may love to visit when you go back, but they'll never love it to the point that you do. It is very difficult because they didn't grow up like that. They grew up in California or in New York City or wherever else, and their home is the States. And for many of us who come from, lower Black America, and then you go up to the suburbs or you live an elite life, you worked hard so your kids won't suffer. But the downside of that is they may not be as race loyal as you. Their whole experience is going to be, okay, they're a black kid, but they're privileged. They're going to high-powered private schools, elite schools, things like that. The things that we didn't have access to. And so that's the curse of being successful, unfortunately. It's the curse. We don't want to talk about that, but that's the curse. We don't want to deal with that, but that's the curse. And it is what it is. These children are not going to be like us. And the more and more and more it goes on, their permanent interest in Black America is going to shift, especially young black men who are looking at how people are being treated publicly, not all, but some, by sisters in the modern era. That's also what's not being talked about. Black women want to have these stereotypes of, how they treat black men and how they're not going to settle for this. And then you expect that these young guys who are going to come from good homes to want to pick up and deal with that sort of thing. And I'm not saying that every woman feels like that, but I believe that these young guys are looking at that. And a lot of these young guys are talking, I believe, and they're saying like, wait a minute, it's much easier and it's much better to deal with these white ladies over here, or these Hispanic ladies over here. These young black guys are already having these conversations at 14, 15, 16. They already know what's up. They're not even going to deal with it. And some of y'all are upset about that, but that's how the black community has kind of a little bit derailed young black men. And many of them are saying, I don't want to deal with it at all. And that's just the downside of what we're seeing. But guys, what do you think? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again with another episode of The Celebrity Junk. I really appreciate you for all that you do. Subscribe, hit the bell, check out the first comment at the top, and as you know, the buffoonery remains an all-time high. I'm out.